Tired of the mainstream media lying to you every single day? You are not alone. Millions of other Americans are sick of the corporate media fake news of the MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, other Times, Washington Post, Political. Every single one of them are in the bag for the Democrats. They are all Team DNC. But now you have another option in independent creators like here on the Cash Loren Show. Well, we will go and we will expose the deep state, these unelected bureaucrats, and the mainstream media, along with the Democrats and their friends in the Rhino Uniparty, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Get the facts on the Cash Loren Show. I am your host, America's Truth Teller, shining a bright red light on the corruption and the hoaxes from the mainstream media and the Democrat Party. You're not going to want to miss a single moment. Join the American First Movement Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the Cash Loren Show. Well, the Democrats have put themselves in another corner again as they continue to learn no lessons, getting more and more cringe every single day as they lose support from their very own voters. We're going to get into later. They're all the way down to 19%. And I just can't imagine why. I mean, what would cause the Democrats to go so far down this rabbit hole that they just continue to double down on everything that has made them look worse? Like, for example, this taco hoax. Have you heard about this? This is absolutely one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen the Democrats do, and why they're going on and trying to push this taco hoax. So this is being where they're using taco as a metaphor for Trump always chickens out, right? Trying to bully Trump on the terrorist policy, because everything that they've been trying to do to get to Donald Trump to stop winning for America with this terrorist has completely and utterly failed. Whether they're blaming him for the eggs hoaxes or the stock hoaxes or anything else they try to blame for, whether dolls, wheelchairs, whatever the case may be, while ignoring that this temporary short-term pain, most of it caused by the Biden administration, is now being fixed by Donald Trump on the short term and on the long term. As we're seeing gas go down, we're seeing inflation go down. These tariffs that Donald Trump doing are working. And make no mistake about this, the Democrats, their philosophy overall is that America must come last, because America in their minds is dirty and rotten. And America must pay for its past crimes. He has blood on his hands, and there's nothing you can do to wash it off. Therefore, you just got to give the Democrats their power and let them, the adults in the room, the ones with their Ivy League degrees, and they're smarter than you, better than you, faster than you, okay, never mistake it for a single second. Okay, the Democrats, they think that it's their right to rule over you. And they decide because America is so bad and so evil that we must pay for these past crimes. And in order to do that, they have to bring America down and then bring the rest of the world up. This has been going on for a very long time as they continue to send our manufacturing overseas and then build up the federal government here in the United States. Well, that, of course, has backfired tremendously, as you would expect, as when they lie to you and they tell you about all these cheap goods coming in the U.S., but what in your life is really any cheaper, right? Absolutely nothing. I mean, maybe you get cheaper crap from China, but what is actually going down in price? See, every year, everything goes up, it gets more and more expensive, and costs you more and more money. And finally, people have had enough, and that's why they in part elected Donald Trump to take over the federal government and win with his tariffs. And as I said, right from the get-go, we don't know the full story on these tariffs. Right? We don't know how much pain in the short term they're actually going to cause. But what we do know is that long term, they will win. Exact dates, I can't tell you. But we've already seen the effects now. And so the Democrats, their next thing is that what they always do is then they go and they try to lie to you, the American voters. See if they, because once you figure out they're lying, this whole thing is over. And that's why they, even by their own polls, they are down to 19%. So their next hoax is this, the taco, the Trump is always chickening out on the tariffs. And what they're trying to say is that what Trump did is that he would go and he plays tariffs, and then he pulls them back, and then he brings tariffs up, and then he brings them back down again, and then he raises tariffs, and then he lowers tariffs, and like they're trying to make it like he's out of his mind or something, like he doesn't know what he's doing. And now the Democrats that have caused all the problems, Donald Trump is now fixing, that you should just give them back their power. It's crazy how they continue to learn no lessons. And so now with their lines, you see, this is a way that the Democrats lie. Is on one hand, they will tell you that Donald Trump is tariffs are going up and down. And if you knew only that, then you would think, well, yeah, maybe Donald Trump is, what is he doing here? Why is he bringing prices up? And then why is he bringing them down? See, they're trying to do two things at once. They're also trying to lock him in a no-win position. Because at the end of their goal, never doubt this for a second, that the Democrats' goal is to make sure Donald Trump fails. Right? I mean, everybody think that is obvious. But then the next question isn't how do they go about doing it? And they try to do it by putting Donald Trump in positions where he has no way out, right? No chance of victory. And no matter what he does is wrong, and the Democrats win. But now they started out with the tariffs where they're trying to accuse him from eggs when that was Biden, and then they're blaming him for the stock market when that is recovering, and then they're blaming him for manufacturing, but manufacturing is coming back to the United States, and then they're going after him for the federal government being defunded. But then all of you are starting to realize that these are career useless people that don't actually do anything. See, a hoax after hoax after hoax fails. They need you to never learn that Trump is right. This is the right path for America. So after all those hoaxes failed, you would think for a second, maybe they should just sit back and think, I don't know, maybe as Democrats, what should we do? Maybe we should, I don't know, maybe stop lying to the American voters? No, because they see themselves as the elite, and they see themselves as your betters. They are smarter than you. They are better than you. They are wiser than you. And you don't have Ivy League degrees, right? You're not smart enough. You're not inside the Beltway. You don't understand what is going on in our federal government. You pleb. So therefore, you should just let the Democrats do anything they want. And since all those hoaxes failed, now their next one to try to bring people on their side is with Eric Swalwell and his little taco TikTok video and trying to be really edgy with his staffer.
Hey, Congressman.
Trying to help you?
What the is up with Trump always chickening out on tariffs?
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
I mean, can the Democrats get any more cringe than that? I mean, no wonder they're, by their own polls, all the way down to like 19%. While Donald Trump is on the rise. How many people outside of their little group even gets what he's talking about? And how many even know what the taco hoax is? See, the Democrats, they can't meme and they can't brand. And they certainly can't make videos mocking Trump. Especially from Eric Fang Swalwell. As he thinks he's being cute and clever here, because this is what happens, right? Is the Democrats, they come up with this hoax. Hey, let's come up with this taco hoax. And that'll stand for Trump is always chickening out. See, oh, that's really smart. And that's really edgy. And that's really cool. But the problem for the Democrats, they don't realize, is nobody else is in the room for this. So then they go out with all their like taco Trump, and no one knows what the heck they're talking about. And it doesn't even make any sense because Donald Trump's tariffs are working. Or people just scratching their heads. Like, what sense does this make? But they can't help themselves as they all hate Donald Trump together. All the Democrats, right, all the deep state, all the fake news networks, all together, they all hate Donald Trump because really, who they really hate is you, the American voters. As they see themselves as a liberal elite, and they think that they shouldn't even have to run for elections. Right? That you should just give them their power because they're smarter, better, and wiser than you are. If you just give them your power, right, and just vote for them like they tell you to vote, then they will make America pay for the sins of the past because America has blood on their hands, and they will make everything right. And while, of course, at the same time, making themselves filthy rich off your tax dollars and growing the federal government, taxing you into poverty, and then creating so many regulations to rule over you. And then they try to twist this all around again, right? Donald Trump is nasty, and Donald Trump is a disgrace when he's asked about it, when really what he's talking about is all this fake news because they know. Right? When we say that you don't hate fake news enough, this is exactly what they're talking about because they all know this is a hoax. The Democrats know there's a hoax, but especially fake news knows this is a hoax. And when they're supposed to use their First Amendment right to be neutral, I almost can't say the word, but neutral journalists, as laughable as that it is, what they really are is propagandists for the Democrat Party. And so they go right along the lie too, because they don't think it's their job to report the news to you. They think that it's their job to tell you what to think. Since they all hate Donald Trump, then they tell you why they hate Donald Trump. Then you should just hate Donald Trump too, because they told you to, because they are the illiberal elite. You see how that works? And when they get caught with like the Biden hoaxes, when they're covering up with his dementia or cancer, whatever else is wrong with them, well, that's also not their fault either, right? That's the White House's fault. See, this is how arrogant and just unbelievably, I think for a different word other than arrogant, but just how pompous they are. You can almost just see the slime of the elitism just coming off them. Like Swalwell there, when he sits there and eats his little taco. Is that it? Aren't we so funny and clever with our little taco hoax? But of course it doesn't work. And this is the end of the day. This is what Donald Trump has proven. If nothing else is this. If we fight back, we win. It really is that simple. As we've gone to show that these deep state hoaxes don't work. And that the mainstream media, they've lost all their influence. And there was a time not too long ago when the Democrats and their friends over the fake news networks, they could end a person's career. Be a politician or anybody else. They would run hit pieces and they would run attack ads. All of a sudden, that person's career goes down the toilet. Because most people didn't realize how fake they were. They thought, they at least had some belief in the mainstream media. But now no one has that belief in them anymore, as they've been busted lying over and over and over again. And one of my favorite people on TV right now is Scott Jennings. And he's over at CNN making all those buffoons just look as foolish as can be every single night. I swear that Scott Jennings, his clips, they're the only thing that make the fake news CNN almost watchable. Right? Almost. Because he just tells them the truth. Right? It just tells them the facts about what's happening, and they don't want to believe it. And so we have another one here on the panel where she's going to lose her mind because Scott Jennings just tells her how it is, and she can't stand when facts get in the way of the Democrats' narrative.
Stop being against Donald Trump and start being for something.
I'll defend it.
All right, so again, they've tried to set themselves up as the anti-Donald Trump platform, the Democrat Party. Well, what they didn't do, because they're in their own little elitist bubble, is they didn't realize that when they're setting themselves up against Donald Trump, when they're actually honest about who they are, they weren't actually putting themselves against Donald Trump. They're putting themselves against the American voters. And that's why they lost so much influence. It's because people all of a sudden realize, thanks to the citizen independent creators, that they were lying to them every single day. So so it's not that they don't hate Donald Trump. And it's not that they don't want to go after Donald Trump. The problem for them is it's not working. And so rather than stepping back and thinking, maybe we should pivot, or maybe we should, I don't know, maybe be honest to the American voters, right? Maybe be what we're actually supposed to be, independent journalists, instead of propagandists for the Democrats. I'm just saying, maybe, if they want to survive another 5 or 10 years, that might be a good idea. But instead, they doubled down on the same thing. And then Scott Jennings correctly points out of how badly off the Democrats are, and then wash their faces too when everything they've been doing gets put right up to them, and they just can't stand it.
Democrats, they are for things. Illegal aliens, for boys and girls sports.
So he says right there, you are for illegal immigrants. And they're going, no, we're not. No, we're not. And they are. Right? You've all seen it over these last few years. right? When Biden opened the border, right? Let tens of millions of people pour into our country, and then did absolutely nothing, and in fact facilitated their interests, did everything in their power to keep as many people here as they possibly could. And then you had like Biden and Mayorkas and all the others blatantly and openly lying to you, the American voters. They knew exactly what they're doing. The only reason they're pretending to be against illegal immigration right now is because of how bad it looks for their party. And this is something that Donald Trump is winning on. You see, for the presidency, normally economy is always number one, just like it was this year. But in 2024, what the Democrats wanted the second issue to be was about abortion, as that was what helped them get some big wins in the 2022 midterms. But that's no longer working anymore, as between then and now is illegal immigration is the number 2 issue in all of America. And this caused them, of course, to lose all their voters and Donald Trump to win every single swing state. And not just win every single swing state, but he then won almost every single demographic. I think the only demographic that he lost in, I believe, was Black women. But outside of that, Latinos, Asians, Black men, everywhere else, especially, and shocking the Democrats the most, is when Donald Trump won over the young voters. Because like Scott Jennings is talking about there, you know, what 80-20 issue are the Democrats on the right side of? They're on the wrong side of immigration. They're on the wrong side of the economy. And he's pointing out there, they're on the wrong side of biological men being in biological female sports. They're wrong on all of it. And yet they still keep doubling down on all these policies. In fact, you have like California right now that's allowing biological males, violating Title IX, and allowing them to go in and participate in these girls and women's sports. And we're going to cover that later on, but I want to continue on this as Scott Jennings continues to point them out with everything that they're wrong on. And no, we're not on the side of immigration, but you've all seen it for the last 4 years.
I mean, you are for things. And that's why you have such struggles right now in your party, because you're not for anything that's on the right side of any of the 80-20 issues that are driving this cultural divide in America. I think Westmore's actually a pretty talented communicator. The other person who spoke in South Carolina, Tim Walz, is this special mixture of extreme buffoonery and a mean spirit, which is a toxic brew. He is not the future of the Democratic Party.
No, but he was going to bring all the white men back to the Democrat Party. The Kamala hoax, right? When they put her in place for Biden, and then they decided to make Tim Walz their token white guy, is in Tim Walz's own statement. What did he say? Tim Walz said, "I was the permission slip for white men to vote for Kamala Harris." See, this is how racist the Democrats are. Hey, people didn't vote for Kamala Harris because she's a Black woman. People didn't vote for Kamala Harris because she's a socialist communist who hasn't earned anything in her life. Hey, she had less than 1%. In fact, she was the first person out in 2020. She could not win a primary. They all knew it, so they rigged it for her. And then the party of Democrats who pretended that they were the party of democracy, all of a sudden, when it was in their own best interest, threw democracy out the window. Right after it got exposed that they're all covered for Joe Biden's mental decline all at the same time. And speaking of Joe Biden's mental decline, I'm going to cut across to this real quick. We have Bill Clinton. He was talking about this, pretending that he didn't know about Joe Biden's mental decline.
Aging, there's this book that came out that talks about Joe Biden and the people around him seeing that he had cognitive and physical decline. Did you ever have a moment with him where you thought maybe he was unfit to run for president? No.
I thought he was a good president. The only concern I thought he had to deal with was, could anybody do that job until they were 86?
All right, yeah, that is why the Democrats are polling at 19%. That's it right there. When he still sits there and he thinks that he can look at the American people with all the stuff you saw over the last 4 years and try to tell you that Joe Biden was an amazing president and that there was nothing wrong with him mentally, please, Democrats, keep it up. That's why they have no bench right now, because everybody's leaving their party. They're going to have to run like Crockett, or they're going to have to run AOC or Bernie Sanders or somebody, help them, Pete Buttigieg. They have nobody. So please learn nothing, Democrats. And with that, we're going to have to cut the rest off. This clock is beeping at me. So we're going to be right back after this greedy profit break. You're not going to miss it. We got a lot more to cover, including all these poll numbers and all the other mistakes that the Democrats are doing, including leading illegal immigrants into this country. And one just was guilty of committing domestic terrorism as the fake news in the Democrat Party continues to try to cover this up over in Boulder, Colorado. But we'll be right back after this greedy profit break. StreamYard is the all-in-one solution towards streaming video online across multiple platforms. It is the same program that I use to host and produce this show every single day, both live streaming across multiple platforms, as well as doing pre-recorded videos to put up, whether it be a YouTube, X, or anywhere else on the internet. If you are looking for a host for your live streams, look no further. Click on the link below and sign up for StreamYard today. You will not regret it. It is both user-friendly for beginners, easy to understand, and has lots of tools built inside it. Don't wait. Click on the link below and sign up for StreamYard today. Creators, are you tired of spinning your wheels, posting over and over again, yet you seem to gain no traction and no growth? We have a solution called the 𝕏 Accelerator. This is what I use to grow my account from 0 to now over 25,000 followers and counting. This program will teach you how the algorithm works and how to maximize your time with third-party tools to 10x your growth. I purchased it and I'm glad I did, and you will be too. Click on the link below and you will not only be for your benefit gaining the 𝕏 Accelerator course, but you will also be helping the show by a small percentage being donated back here. So click on the link below, sign up for the 𝕏 Accelerator today. I am glad I did, and I know that you will too. If you are watching this show, then you are probably sick and tired of the corporate media we call fake news lying to you every single day. You are not alone. This has caused many citizen journalism, as much as I hate to say the J word, that's really what we're doing, is exposing the fake news networks and the corrupt government every day without the filter of the corporate media deciding what you can and cannot know. Many of us make these videos with the extra room that we have in our houses, just like I am here in our spare bedroom. But making these is not free. We have families to feed as well. If you are enjoying this content, then it will always be free, and I thank you for your support. But if you want to help monetarily, there is a great way to do that on Locals. Click on the link below, sign up for our different tiered programs, and we will have additional content for you based on the level that you sign up for, including being thanked in the end of videos every single day. Take a moment, if you enjoy this content, and sign up for the monetary support and help us stay on air and offer you more benefits, such as more shows and better production. So sign up for today at Locals and support the citizen journalisms and help us get past the fake news networks. Well, you may be asking yourself, why is the Democrat Party collapsing in real time? As I continue to think that they are the ones that are the edgy, right? They're the ones that are against the mainstream, that they are the ones that are going to take down, right? This, I don't even know what they're against now. And I don't think anybody else really does either. I mean, can you name one issue the Democrats are on the right side of? Because I can't think of a single one. I mean, what is one side that most Americans, would join the Democrat Party? I mean, what would make them go there besides like the purple-tailed whales or illegal immigrants? There's virtually no one left who wants to be part of the Democrat Party because they're on the wrong side of every single issue. When they sit there and they talk about the economy and they try to pretend that they didn't spend the last 4 years destroying the economy. or when they thought they could run on women's rights, but really what they were running on was abortion. They were trying to reduce women to the very satanic practice of killing their unborn children. Because the Democrats have blood on their hands. They are drunk on the blood of the innocent. At the same time, they're trying to pretend that women's rights are all about abortion. Then at the very exact same time, what are they doing? They're trying to put biological males in women's sports. And then they can't understand why no one wants to be a part of their party. If there's one issue, all right, there's just one single issue in all the United States that'll get people to cross party lines, it's their own children. That's probably the only issue that will get women to stop dyeing their hair blue and put on a red t-shirt. Because protecting their young is instinctual. For most people, it's built into our nature. Right? You have children, you want them raised up, you want them to have a better life than you do. And you certainly don't want your daughter getting a snot beat out of her by some biological male. So when they thought they could run on that, then they couldn't, because the other thing they lost on all 7 swing states, and why Donald Trump won, I think, in every single category except a demographic, except black women, was the huge issue they didn't want it to be, was immigration. I mean, it's crazy to think about now, but the Democrats really thought this. They really thought that they could leave our border wide open, let tens of millions of people come across our border, and then just pretend like nothing was happening, lie to you, the voters, and then nobody would notice. And they'd face no repercussions for it. And then they took the border czar, Kamala Harris, and they put her on top of the ticket. This is what happens on the Democrats with their elitism. It's both their biggest strength and their biggest weakness. It can be their biggest strength because they have a much easier time than our side does of uniting around a single issue or around single messaging. I mean, how often do you see if there's 51 Democrats in the Senate, right? All 51 will vote down the same issue, right? They don't have their Mitch McConnells or their Rand Pauls or any of the other rhinos that we've dealt with for the past 30 years. But it's also their biggest weakness because then they can't pivot. Because they only talk to each other, and anybody that doesn't agree with them, well, then they try to slander them into silence. They'll call you a racist or a bigot or a homophobe or a transphobe, a white nationalist or an extreme MAGA Republican, all trying to get you to silence and just shut up. Because at the end of the day, they don't believe any of that. Right? They don't think that you're a racist or you're a bigot or a homophobe. They don't believe any of that. What they do think of is that they think that they have a right to rule over you. And if you don't agree with them, right, if you're not lockstepping with them, if you're not part of my sheep, you're not 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, then you're the problem, not them. So then that's why they silence you. And then they justify that in their minds with their Marxist communism as that the equity or the end always justifies the means. So this is about social justice, or this is about DEI, or this is about how America is so evil and it needs to be brought down to his knees. So they start at the end with the equity, and then anything they have to lie to you or cheat or steal, commit fraud, any crime that is done by them is justified because as long as they achieve the right ends, then any means is valid. Do not doubt me for a second. That is exactly how the Democrats think. And it never occurs to them for a single second that maybe they're the problem. And maybe you don't agree with that. That most of America thinks that we live in a pretty dang good country. But I think we live in the best country this world has ever known. There's a certain American exceptionalism to our country. There's that dream and that belief that you can start from nothing, have absolutely zero, come from some of the worst backgrounds imaginable, but with hard work and dedication, there is nothing you cannot achieve in this country. Is at the end of the day, that anything that you do in your own house is going to have a much bigger impact than anything that stupid people in Congress in Washington, D.C. do. And that's what the Democrats fail to learn. They don't understand that they all hate America. And so they think that all of you should hate America too. And then combine that with fake news collapsing, as there used to be a time when nobody could get past the fake news networks, as that was essentially the only way to get mass information out to the masses. And all the fake news, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, other Times, Washington Post, Political Axios, they'd all run the same hit pieces and the same lies all together. And then people like you would think, well, if they all are talking the same thing, well, then maybe I'm the oddball. Maybe I'm the one that's weird for loving our country. And they never ever realize that is not true, that most people think like you do. Most people are independent thinkers, right? Most people are somewhere in the middle on issues. I'd say probably most America is middle, social on the left, but civics on the right. There's somewhere in there. However, the Democrats are pushed so far to the left that now the people that were in the middle that normally would identify with them, all of a sudden are looking around going, well, I can't go with communism. I can't go with Marxism. Right? I can't go with biological males and female sports. You know, I'm not okay with an illegal invasion of our country. You know, I'm not really sure about this tariffs things, but it does seem to be working. I mean, gas prices are going down, right? As energy goes down, everything else is starting to go down, just like Donald Trump promised. But yet the Democrats are still doubling down on everything that put them in last place. And that's why their party is collapsing, even by their own polls. And every time we talk about polls, no matter what, I always say with polls, take them with a grain of salt. Because the thing about polls is they're really poorly sampled. I mean, when have you ever been polled? They usually have a very small sampling, and they intentionally neglect and they intentionally target people that they think that will get them the results that they want. See, most polls don't exist to educate American voters. Most polls exist to manipulate you into believing something that you never would have believed in if you'd had the honest information. See, this is how mainstream media and the fake news, this is how they ultimately lie to you. Is most of the time they don't blatantly lie, though sometimes they do. Most of the time what they do is they'll leave out the facts that are inconvenient to their narrative, so you will go along with what they want you to go along with. But if you had the full context, you would never ever go. So this is so bad for them that even their own polls are failing. This is the Reuters poll, which has the Democrats at 19%. I mean, at the end of this, that decimal might even be in the wrong spot. It might be 1.9%. I don't know. But who can align with the Democrats? I mean, maybe 20% of the country is communist. I certainly hope not. But maybe 20% of the country thinks that biological males should be in women's sports. Maybe 20% of the country wants to lose their rights. I don't know, maybe 20% of the country wants the federal government to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. See, the Democrats have absolutely nothing to run on whatsoever. And that's why they're failing. And I think it's very possible that, well, it's more than possible. The Republican Party, the rhinos, they're going to have the biggest effect on the 2026 midterms. Because all they have to do is codify Trump's agenda. That's it. If they do that, we win in huge landslides. See, unlike 2022, in 2026, we have a very good map on our side of the aisle, whereas 2022 was a very bad map for us. And then on top of that, with the abortion issue being such a big deal, and the backstabber Jimmy Graham, if you remember when he put through his national abortion ban that he knew had no chance and that it hurt Donald Trump's MAGA candidates. I mean, worse than every single Democrat combined are the few rhinos that are left in Congress. They are a far bigger threat to the American First movement than any Democrat is. At least the Democrats, you know who they are. But the rhinos, they go in front of the TV, they say all the right stuff, they post all the right stuff, but then they go to Washington, D.C. and they backstab you over and over and over again. Well, if Reuters has the fake news poll, has the Democrats at 19%, I mean, what is the real number at? I mean, no wonder Democrats are so far against voter ID. I can't imagine why that would be. I'm sure it's because of, voter ID is racist, like they say. I mean, I'm sure that's the Democrats being honest for once in their lives. Or how it will disproportionately, I think, what's the other one they like to use? They like to disproportionately target people of color, right? Somehow like ID is racist. Like somehow people who are black can't get ID or won't. So therefore, we have to let everybody vote with ID because otherwise, you're a racist. But again, it's the Democrats are racist. Then they wonder why they're at 19%. And then Trump, who is now up to 50% by these same fake polls when he was at 45%, is getting even higher and higher. And again, the same thing as I said, the fake polls, he's probably much, much higher than that. Donald Trump is a very rare politician because he's not a politician. He is a billionaire populist. He actually does love our country. And everything he ran on, he said he wasn't going to do. Unlike most politicians that never ever do that stuff, Donald Trump is doing every single bit of it just like he promised. And these rhinos in Congress who are trying to stop him, they must learn that if they don't do their jobs and they don't codify Trump's agenda, every single one of them, their careers are going to end. I mean, it wasn't very long ago, these exact same fake polls, they ran the same thing with Donald Trump, had the 100 worst days of any president. Do you remember that one? I covered that on the show about a month ago. It was the exact same hoaxes that they've run now with all these fake polls. Because when you dig into the data, this is when you find out how they're lying. Because what they do is they said in that poll that Donald Trump had 100 worst days of any president, they I think it was about 2,400 people that they interviewed. And in the data, they claimed that it was a third Democrat, a third Independent, and a third Republican. But in the very same poll, this is how you know they're lying, and how they manipulate this poll. Because for one, before I get into that, this is the exact same poll that they ran in 2016 that said Donald Trump had the worst first 100 days of any president. It's the same poll they're running now. And so 2,400 people. And then what they did in that poll, when they said there was like a third split, remember, third Democrat, third Independent, third Republican, they then made the mistake of asking people, if you voted for Donald Trump, would you still vote for him? And 96% said yes, they would. Well, that's a big problem for the fake poll, because they're trying to say Donald Trump was the worst president of the first 100 days. If America thinks that, then why are 96% of the people who are voting for Donald Trump in their own fake poll still voting for Donald Trump? Doesn't make sense. But then when you get even deeper in the data, it even gets funnier. Because then the same fools, they asked the people that they asked in the poll, whoever they are, not middle, they asked them, well, on the Democrats, do you approve of the Democrats or do you disapprove of the Democrats? I want to say, I don't remember how many, okay, I'm not going to, because I don't remember the percentage. And if I say the percentage, somebody's going to come back and that's wrong. Oh, see. All right. So, but a very high percentage said that Donald Trump was still more popular than the Democrats. Supposedly that Donald Trump had the worst 100 days. All right. See, these polls are there to manipulate information. Of course, none of the fake news Democrats, none of fake news, none of these Democrats, none of them told you that part whatsoever. They all just went straight with the headline. Donald Trump has the worst 100 days of a president in U.S. history. These are the same hoaxers that try to tell you that Donald Trump is the worst president, according to the experts, but Joe Biden is one of the best, just like Bill Clinton was trying to lie to you about in an earlier segment. Yet, the Democrats, where they lose all across all demographics, one of the ones that are absolutely panicking, they're trying to downplay, but make no mistake, this scares them to death, is they've lost the youth vote. They lost by 15 points. Okay, this is huge. I cannot describe enough how big of a deal this is. Because the Democrats, they are the party of miserable women and weak men. And then in addition to that, they rely on young activists who don't know any better to get into the Democrat Party, and then hopefully they never ever escape. And they grow up either miserable or weak and vote Democrat their entire lives. This is why they target young. But thanks to Donald Trump's messaging, especially with Barron Trump, he will never get enough credit for helping his father in the election, getting him to go on the podcast, getting him to go on X Spaces. And there is a critique of the Trump administration and Republicans is they still haven't learned that fake news is dead. I don't know why he stopped. I mean, Trump and Elon and all the rest, they should be doing Spaces every month. They should all be going on podcasts, not over to fake news. The sooner they learn that the independent creators are the future, the better off and the faster that the MAGA movement will grow. And then, of course, thanks to Charlie Kirk and all his work with Turning Point USA. Because without him, I don't know that Donald Trump is president. But that's how disconnected the Democrats are. Is they think they can be on the wrong side of every single issue and then lie to you, the American people. That's why they're at 19% and Trump is at 50%, even with their own fake polls. So don't believe it for a second. We are winning. With that, I'm way over on a break again. We'll be back here in just a moment. You have a lot more to cover. You're not going to miss it. But the clock is blinking at me, so we'll be right back after this greedy profit break. This is the Cash Loren Show. StreamYard is the all-in-one solution towards streaming video online across multiple platforms. It is the same program that I use to host and produce this show every single day, both live streaming across multiple platforms, as well as doing pre-recorded videos to put up, whether it be a YouTube, X, or anywhere else on the internet. If you are looking for a host for your live streams, look no further. Click on the link below and sign up for StreamYard today. You will not regret it. It is both user-friendly for beginners, easy to understand, and has lots of tools built inside it. Don't wait. Click on the link below and sign up for StreamYard today. Ex-creators, are you tired of spinning your wheels, posting over and over again, yet you seem to gain no traction and no growth? We have a solution called the 𝕏 Accelerator. This is what I use to grow my account from 0 to now over 25,000 followers and counting. This program will teach you how the algorithm works and how to maximize your time with third-party tools to 10x your growth. I purchased it and I'm glad I did, and you will be too. Click on the link below and you will not only be for your benefit gaining the 𝕏 Accelerator course, but you will also be helping the show by a small percentage being donated back here. So click on the link below, sign up for the 𝕏 Accelerator today. I am glad I did, and I know that you will too. If you are watching this show, then you are probably sick and tired of the corporate media we call fake news lying to you every single day. You are not alone. This has caused many citizen journalism, as much as I hate to say the J word, that's really what we're doing, is exposing the fake news networks and the corrupt government every day without the filter of the corporate media deciding what you can and cannot know. Many of us make these videos with the extra room that we have in our houses, just like I am here in our spare bedroom. But making these is not free. We have families to feed as well. If you are enjoying this content, then it will always be free, and I thank you for your support. But if you want to help monetarily, there is a great way to do that on Locals. Click on the link below, sign up for our different tiered programs, and we will have additional content for you based on the level that you sign up for, including being thanked in the end of videos every single day. Take a moment, if you enjoy this content, and sign up for the monetary support and help us stay on air and offer you more benefits such as more shows and better production. So sign up for today at Locals and support the citizen journalisms and help us get past the fake news networks. The Democrats have been allowing our country to be invaded for years. And over this entire time, we have been saying over and over and over again that we do not know who the Democrats are allowing into our country. They lied for the entire time that Joe Biden was president, all the way up to when Donald Trump took office in 2025. They intentionally left their border wide open, allowed the illegals to come into this country, and they had no idea who they are, where they were from, or what their intentions were. And I think that the Democrats couldn't care less. Because the Democrats, they saw the illegal immigration as permanent one-party rule through future voters. Either now, by bringing the people here and then making them legal, or two, they're having illegals having children here and then abusing the birthright citizenship to make their children be citizens to vote in the future. The plan for illegal invasion of our country was always about having the illegal immigrants come in here to vote in elections. Never ever doubt that for a second. And they never once cared how many people got hurt. Just like people who were innocent, like Laken Riley, say her name. And we were warning over and over again that we don't know who he is. Are they terrorists? Are they coming here to commit crimes, major crimes, do massive casualties to our country? And that happened this weekend in Boulder, Colorado. And this, the information that's coming out now about this attack should absolutely infuriate every single one of you. And we are very lucky that this isn't even worse. But the potential is there. And we have no idea what kind of cells are in our country and what they are planning. So this illegal immigrant, he went into Boulder, Colorado, and then he had apparently been planning this attack for over a year. And he made a bunch of Molotov cocktails. These essentially bottles with alcohol or other flammants, whatever you could find. Then he stuck rags in them. You light them on fire and they catch on fire, right, and explode, whatever, cause damage, burn people, which he did. And he went and he targeted specifically pro-Israeli demonstrators. Does this sound familiar, like what the Democrats were ignoring? Let's say, for example, with this Free Palestine crowd, because that's exactly what he said. And then, like, we had the terror attack just a few weeks ago with the same thing. Free Palestine person shot and killed 2 innocent Jewish workers at the embassy. Now, this guy mutilated multiple pro-Israel demonstrators. What else is going to happen? But this should have never happened for multiple reasons. But one of the things that should absolutely infuriate every single one of you is he was allowed in this country by Joe Biden. And then when he was supposed to get deported because his visa ran out, instead they gave him a work visa despite seeking asylum. And now he's attacked American citizens, specifically targeting people because they were Israeli. Right? And now the FBI's arrested him and the FBI is charged with a hate crime. And hopefully one of the things they're investigating is who was he communicating with? You know, was it back home? Was it people here? Did anybody help him plan this attack? I certainly have my suspicions, and we're waiting to see as more information comes out. But the fake news, of course, they immediately tried to cover this up. They're one of the first things that they ran with, well, he's probably white, right? And they tried to hide up that he was an illegal immigrant they didn't want to talk about. They lied about his race, saying that he was white, because, of course, the fake news, like the rest of the Democrats, they hate all the white people. But he's Egyptian. How much you heard fake news talk about that he was here illegally, as they will go through and they will say things, you know, like a man committed a crime, right? Leaving very generic when it's something that they don't want you to know about. And now you voted for Donald Trump. Again, you voted for Donald Trump to kick all these people out of our country. Every single last one. We talk about fake news polls, and one of the things I think was really funny about these fake news polls is when CNN's fake news poll, when they ran about the illegal immigrants and they couldn't believe it, is even in their own fake poll, over 50% of Americans thought that 100% of illegal immigrants should be deported from this country. Hey, for once I agree with fake news. I agree too. Every last one. If you come to this country illegally, by definition, you are a criminal. It doesn't matter what else you do. If you want to come, you want to live the American dream, you want to come here and you want to work, and you want to raise a family, well, I say that's great. But you have to do it legally through our legal process. And right now, the way that our country is, that we have to do all these deportations first. You have to stop the bleeding. And then once the bleeding is stopped, you can then go back and you can start redoing our legal immigration process. Because I would also agree with that our legal immigration system needs a lot of work. Well, we can't fix our legal immigration when we haven't fixed the illegal immigration first. Is that fair to you? And so you voted for Donald Trump. Number one's always economy, but number two was securing our border. And now you have the Democrats who are trying to stop it. And then they're using their activist judges to try to keep as many illegal immigrants here as they can, while at the same time today pretending that the thoughts and prayers are out to the victims of this heinous domestic terrorist. One of the most tone-deaf things I think I've ever seen on X was Joe Biden posting about how he's praying for the victims. Now, you let him into this country. You lied about our border being open. Joe Biden lied about how many people were coming into this country. Joe Biden lied about using your tax dollars to move these illegal immigrants all over our country. Joe Biden lied about your tax dollars, putting them in hotels, giving them food. Joe Biden lied about giving them Medicaid, about giving them Social Security, about giving them welfare benefits. And now he has the nerve, after this was caused by him, to sit there and pretend that he's sorry for the victims. 90% approval is way too high for the Democrats. That should be down about 1.9% for what they've done to this country. But now here's their opportunity to rectify that. Right? If they really do want to send out their prayers, you know what they can do if they really want to make this right? They'd work with Donald Trump to deport every single illegal immigrant. Sign the bills. How much money does he need to deport every single illegal immigrant? How much money does Donald Trump need to finish the border wall? Right? If the Democrats, if they are being legitimate for once, and they are actually wanting to change, then here is their opportunity to do so. But of course, we know the truth. The Democrats never ever will. All their fake virtually signaling today is a blatant lie. They want the illegal invasion of their country, and they don't care how many Americans have to suffer. But the Israelis, or the Jewish people at the embassy, or Lake and Riley, or any other victims that have suffered from the illegal invasion of our country. And then to the other degrees from all of you, right? As they cost us a lot of money. Whether they're taking jobs and they're sitting there to lie and they'll say, oh, well, they're taking the jobs that nobody wants, right? They're out there picking crops. See, this is how they lie to you, is they tell you partial information, because yes, that is true, but it's less than 1%. That most illegal immigrants, from what I've seen, work in construction sites for good paying jobs. So here's the Democrats' chance. Of course, we know they're not being true, and now we can call them out, we can expose them again. And when they go down from the 30%, down to 26%, down to 24%, down to 19%, it's going to keep going down, because they continue to think that they can lie to you, the American people, and get away with it. And then Donald Trump, on the other hand, he is doing everything that he said he was going to do, like deporting illegal immigrants, such as ICE, for example. They just conducted the biggest raid that they've ever done in a sanctuary state out of all the states, and you won't believe who they kicked out of our country.
Have to go out and pick up some of the most horrible criminals that are roaming free in Massachusetts. These are just some of them. A child sex offender.
Before he starts going through the stats here, so they, I think it's 1,400 people that they picked up. Over 700 of them were criminals, and then I think over 200 of them already had a final deportation order, which means they're immediately gone.
That was previously deported, that was released by a local agency, but was back living across the street from a playground.
And this you will hear a lot, because the Democrats have convinced themselves through their Marxist lens that the ends always justifies the means. So they want the illegal immigrants here. They don't want them to get arrested and deported. So what do? When they commit crimes, they just release them over and over and over again. Okay? They let this person who is victim of a child assault back out of prison and let them live next to a school. Think about that for a minute. The next time you don't hate the Democrats and the fake news enough.
A sex trafficker that was arrested for raping a child that was re-released back into the community. A habitual drunk driver who, in the midst of his drunk driving, kidnapped a child.
These are the people that the Democrats are calling the dreamers. That they're trying to lie to you over and over and over again and claim that these are the people who just want a better life, right? Who just want the American dream. When they lie to you about how these prisons, how these mental asylums are being brought into our country, and then they have to cover it up by not arresting them and releasing them from jail. We have if we're Washington State, for example, who, if you're an illegal immigrant, they want to give you clemency just because you're an illegal immigrant, meaning that your crime is just poof, gone, for no other reason than because you're an illegal immigrant. Then they want to fully pardon them, and they're trying to hide them from the federal government so they don't get deported. Illegal criminals who are doing this to your civilization, doing this to your local cities, to your states. And the Democrats don't care about Americans one bit.
Theft from, we had one person that was previously deported that was stealing from disabled senior citizens. Not only that, but they got several convicted murderers, rapists, spouse abusers, child abusers, and drug traffickers. You can see their mugshots, which are all up here on the photo, and I really want everyone to see that. Because not only did they enter our country illegally, but they were released back into our community by elected officials and sanctuary jurisdictions that did not want to turn these individuals over to ICE.
Yeah, you'll never hate these people enough. Who just decide, these judges, these prosecutors, these mayors, these governors, that they can just decide which laws they're going to enforce and which laws are not, based on whatever their politics are. So they want illegal immigration here. When they lie to you about what happened in Boulder, Colorado, just remind them of this. Of how they keep releasing these criminals. I bet as we go further and further into this, how much do you want to bet that that criminal in Boulder, Colorado had been arrested before and released? I don't know if that's true or not now, but would it shock any of you?
I really want everyone to see their faces and know what's going on. So make no mistake, ICE is going to keep doing this. This operation proved that we need to be more. While this operation was going on, and the brave men and women from all these agencies were out conducting operations, more criminal aliens were being released into the community. We did this already once. We saw a large number in a week time, but that just showed we needed to come back, and we're going to keep coming back.
Yeah, Donald Trump wants over 3,000 a day, and I say let's double and quadruple that. Let's see how high we can get this number, because we have a lot to deport from this country. And these judges need to get out of the way. Congress needs to do their job. And where the heck is SCOTUS to end all these illegal injunctions against Donald Trump's executive authority? And now we have mayors that are openly breaking the law. This one, so now ICE agents are starting to have to wear masks because they're getting doxxed. They're getting doxxed by federal government officials and local mayors. And I want to know, when are these people going to get arrested and this mayor in particular is openly bragging about it.
Mayor Dante Coleman's posted about it on his Facebook page.
Everyone here is, we're family with Wilkesburg, and we just want to protect each other. We have ordinances that protect everyone, no matter what part of life you're from.
What do you say to people who say you shouldn't be here illegally?
That's how this country started. You got to start, it's all about getting that path to being a resident, and I feel like we need to help.
Right. You're, at the end of that, see, that's the game the Democrats are playing. Just get them here. Release them, doesn't matter what crimes they do, and then make them citizens. Either make them citizens now or through abusing the birthright citizenship, their children later. This is all about illegal voting, and they don't care how much this hurts you and your families. The Democrats, the only thing they've ever cared about is power. And now, thanks to like my show and others, here on your host, Cash Loren, make liberals cry tears that are saltier than you-know-whose fries, can expose the Democrats for who they really are. Satanic communists. Never doubt that for a second. And with that, my clock is blinking. We're way over on the hour. Thank each and every one of you for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the Cash Loren Show. Greetings, independent thinkers. We have come to a top of another hour. If you're enjoying this content, please make sure you have subscribed, turn on notifications, but most importantly, share an American First message with your friends and family so we can help fight back against the Democrats and their propagandists over at the fake news networks. Also, take a moment to consider subscribing to us on Locals at the Cash Loren Show, where for a very small amount of money every month, you'll get many additional perks, including your name at the end of videos that can be up the screen here in just a moment, a follow and increased engagement and exclusive lists that I use on X. That sounds interesting to you. Go over to locals.com at the Cash Loren Show, hit the subscribe button for about a cup of coffee a month, and help us stay independent and free of the fake news networks and bring you the truth every single day, just like these fine patriots have. At the end of the video, be on your screen here in just a moment.